Welcome to College Football Addiction. Colorado beats Colorado State 28-9 last night in a game that was never really in doubt. I know that Colorado State scored first. I know they were hyped about that and they were excited. And then from there, they really weren't able to do anything. Colorado goes on a 28-6 run to end the game. And, man, as much as people like to clown and make fun of Coach Prime and where this program is, this was impressive. And I'll preface it by saying I know Colorado State is not some amazing team. Like, I know they're not great. But last year, Colorado kind of fooled around and nearly lost this game. And shout out to Colorado here because they put their foot down and they played much, much better than I think we've seen not only all year, but really they obviously played Colorado State better this year than they had played them last year too. 28-9, game never really in doubt. Travis Hunter continues to be incredibly unreal. Big interception with a big long. He just does everything, and that's just it's almost like not even fair how good he is. And people, what do people love about Kobe and Michael and some of these LeBron is not only how good they are, but like how hard they work. Hunter stat line, again, ridiculous. 13 for 100, 2 touchdowns. Obviously had the interception and the long return. But then what about the plays that don't show up in the stat sheet? Well, I guess it does show up as a tackle technically. But the play where he chases the guy down to end up getting the tackle way, 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 way down the field. Stuff like that is special, man. Stuff like that is really impressive to me. Now, Colorado State ended up scoring on that drive anyway, but it just shows that he actually does care. Like, it's not just like I'm amazing and I don't care about anything. Colorado gets this there's this view painted of Colorado where like they just don't care. They don't give a crap. They're just in it for themselves, and it's just all about me. And, whatever. Every team has that to some degree, right? Like there are some players on every team that feel that way. There's no team with 85 guys that are just all self-centered, or team-centered and not worried about themselves. But, as much as people like to say that about Colorado, like Travis Hunter sprinting that guy down and running him down from behind to prevent a touchdown, like the game was already over. Like the game didn't even matter, right? Like, well, the game matters certainly, but that one score didn't even end up mattering. And Hunter, that really impressed me. That shows me a kid that really does care. Scouts see that. Draft guys see that. Not that, he has much room to go up in the draft anyway. Not that, oh, wow, now we're going to take him like they wouldn't have anyway. But that really, really impressed me. I thought Shedeur played really well. The key to Shedeur playing well is the offensive line protecting him, and they did that really well. Shedeur was pretty good, certainly not perfect by any means, but a bounce-back game where he was much, much better. It took advantage of a secondary that isn't very good, and went out there and put the ball where it needed to be so that they could move it and have success offensively. Offensive line, like that's probably I kind of have, as good as you want to talk about Sanders having 4 touchdowns or Hunter going off or the offensive line, the offensive line and the defense were certainly the two areas where I kind of see saw the most improvement, saw the biggest difference. The offensive line protecting Sanders is an absolute must. Colorado will not win a game when the offensive line is not playing well. And again, I don't get me wrong. I don't think Colorado State has some massive, juggernaut of a defensive line. But at the end of the day, you got to go out and protect who you can. I told you that the defensive lines that Colorado would see would not be as good as Nebraska's. I think that's pretty clear when you look at Colorado State. But I don't think many of the Big 12 defensive lines are going to be quite like Nebraska's were either. So you will have somewhat of a reprieve when you play teams like Cincinnati and they play UCF soon. I don't think UCF quite has the defensive line that Nebraska does, and so on, right? And so I do think that that's going to help. I do think that you're going to see a lot of D-lines that are probably better than Colorado State's, but not quite as good as Nebraska, so somewhere in the middle. And the offensive line will probably have mixed results this year for Colorado. Like, to be very honest, like there are going to be some games they look good and some games where they're like, man, they really needed to be better than they just were. But as of last night, it was good for them to have a game like that and be able to like come together, gel, and really thrive as a unit and do a good job there. I thought defense was much better. Coach Prime mentioned this in his halftime interview. Like, they were asking about Travis and Shedeur and all this, and he was like, let me tell you about this defense. And the defense was really good. Just giving up that 3 points to start the game. And then through the rest of the first half, nothing. And then really through the rest of the game, they had the 1 touchdown on the long run, 1 touchdown after the long run. But the defense was really, really good. Kind of gave them a chance to continue to put the game away. Never really in doubt, never really in question because the defense stepped up big time. Now, we've seen the defense start to improve and continue to improve. They were much better in the first half against North Dakota State. They were much better in the second half against North Dakota State, much better in the second half against Nebraska. And then once again, much better tonight. Now, again, again, I know Colorado State is not a team that's just some juggernaut. I continue to stress that. However, compared to the way you played them last year, at home and on the road, Coach Norvell did some good things last year when they came into Boulder. I thought that was impressive. It is a rivalry. I know there's a lot of transfers. How much do the people care about the rivalry? The fans care. The people get up for this game, I promise you, and the players can feel that. And so that's a good game, right? Like, that's a good game. You need to go out and you need to kind of make a statement. Everybody's questioning this, that, and the other. You went out and you got it done. Now comes Big 12 play. And here's what I'll tell you about Big 12 play. There are some really, really good Big 12 teams. I think Kansas State is a really good team. I think Utah is a really good team. But I think there are some games on this schedule that are very, very winnable. I think there are some games on this schedule that you look at and you say, man, we thought this was going to be tougher. I'm not quite so sure now. I think they can certainly win against Cincinnati. I think they can beat Baylor. I think they can beat UCF. I think there's a lot. I think they can beat Kansas. Kansas is kind of showing you that they're not great. There's a lot of teams on this schedule that I think they can beat. The work now is going out and doing it. The work now is going out and making sure that you're winning those type of games. The getting it done where it matters, right? Like, Colorado State was probably the worst team you'll play for the rest of the year. And I'm just being blunt with that. Sorry to any Colorado State fans that happen to be tuned in and watching. So you're going to have to continue to up your play, right? Like, it's not just going to be easy every single week. And not that necessarily yesterday was a super easy game, but it was a game that you kind of you out-talented them in a lot of aspects. Even your weaknesses, right? You're not typically a very good team offensive line. You're not typically a very good team in the first half. On defense, you even were able to dominate there. So what does it tell me? Well, a couple of things. You played an opponent that was much less than you, and you're starting to figure some stuff out because you've played opponents that were less than you before, and certainly you didn't dominate the way you did yesterday. And so maybe Colorado is figuring some stuff out. Maybe they're figuring some stuff out defensively. That stuff takes a little bit longer to install and get better and get right at times. But I do think that that's improvement, and I think that's impressive improvement, and I think that they need to continue to trend that way. Coach Prime needs to continue to motivate these guys because here's the thing in the Big 12. They could win every week or they could lose every week, right? Like, there's no oh, well, this is a surefire win or this is a surefire loss. There's a couple of teams that are much tougher when you look at the Big 12. I think Kansas State, like we mentioned, Utah, there are some really good teams. But there are a lot of teams in this conference that you can beat at any time. Even Oklahoma State, who is ranked high, nearly lost to an Arkansas team that is just pathetic and not very good. You can beat some of these teams, and you're going to match up with them, I think, fairly well. If the offensive line can hold up for Colorado, and I know that's kind of the key to all of it. Coach Prime says it. When we protect him, man, let that kid go back there and throw the ball. We know he's good at it. But you're going to play a lot of teams that I think you match up well. Teams that don't have incredible defenses, teams that you're going to be better than from a skill perspective. Can you go out, get enough stops? Can you protect Shedeur enough to get the wins? Look, 2-1. We said that they needed to be at least 2-1. Needed to win the first game, needed to win the third game. Nebraska would have been a nice one to win. Unfortunately, they weren't super close, but 2-1. Now here you go, right? You need 4 more to get to a bowl. You need more than that to accomplish other goals. Can you find another win, right? Can you continue to trade in the right direction? That's what Coach Prime's job is now, and obviously, being the coach, they have to not read their own press clippings. They have to get ready for the next opponent. It's a faceless opponent. It's really about Colorado taking care of the things that they need to take care of this week, and then let the results on Saturday take care of themselves. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I know we had a bunch of you tune in from the prime time for college football when we were doing that. My guy Jay over there is doing a phenomenal job. Make sure you check him out. But let me know your thoughts. Hit the subscribe button. We'll talk to you guys soon here on College Football Addiction.